Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Graham. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about upcoming NHL draft prospect Gleb Trikozov. So if that sounds good to you guys, please do be sure to hit like, subscribe, leave a comment. All those things really help me out. With that being said, let's get into the video.
I figured we would start this video off by going over some video. So here we have a classic 3-on-3 rush. Trikozov is at the top of the screen here in number 71 in red, and the puck carrier is at the bottom of the screen. So they do this classic crossover move where they switch sides. That is pretty common in even strength rush situations if it's a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3. Trikozov gains a step on this guy. That has more to do with this guy not backchecking very hard than it does with Trikozov, but it's worth noting. This guy, the puck carrier, pushes this defender back, creating space for Trikozov, and this guy draws these defenders. So Trikozov is able to take advantage of that and basically gets a free lane right down the slot. He takes a decent shot, but it also creates a rebound, and that's just a really good play all around. Okay, here's another play where Trikozov is right here, number 71 in red, in the neutral zone, and the puck carrier is this guy in the middle here. So kind of just a dump and chase type of play. Trikozov gets to the other side of the net completely unimpeded, gets a relatively slow pass from his teammate there, and right there, I don't know if you noticed that, I could slow it down, but I'm kind of on a time crunch here. He looks back, scanning the ice, finds his teammate right here, and then does that little no-look pass to him, and he buries it. That is such a great play from Trikozov. It's pretty subtle. There's nobody there pressuring him, which makes it a lot easier, but it's just a really great play from Trikozov. I love seeing plays like that. Passes from behind the goal line to right into the slot like that. That's pretty much about as dangerous of a pass as you could get. So really great play there.
Now, I could go over video demonstrating what I think of Trikozov's defensive game, but I think it would be funnier if I just showed you my impression of his defensive game instead. Safe to say that Trikozov is not an elite two-way player. In fact, he is a pure offense player. I have not seen a player who is more pure offense than Trikozov. In an earlier video, I mentioned that all junior players have defensive problems, and that is generally true. Most junior players do have defensive problems because these, especially guys at the top of the draft, because you're really skilled guys, their offense tends to come first, and they learn defense later. Not really much of an issue. But Trikozov just, it's not that he doesn't know how to play defense. I mean, maybe he does. I don't know. It's just that he does not play defense. It is kind of remarkable, actually. There are times where, not even times, every time he's on the ice and his team is in the defensive zone, you could tell that he's on the ice because there's only 4 players from his team that are involved in the play at all. He'll just be standing, like, I don't know, somewhere near one of the face-off circles, towards the top of the face-off circle, just standing there, waiting for the puck to come to him so he can break it out, basically. And he'll do that for like a 40-second shift where his team is hemmed into his zone. And it's, it's kind of funny, to be honest. What I really like about Trikozov's game, though, is obviously his offensive potential. When I first started watching him, I wasn't really that sold on him, to be honest. The first game I saw of him, it was a playoff game, and it was an elimination game, I think, and he didn't really do anything. In fact, I believe his team got eliminated, but that's kind of beside the point. But he didn't really do anything in that game, and I was kind of wondering, okay, I mean, it's just one game, but I've heard pretty big hype from some other scouts. So what's going on with this guy? I watched him again. The second game, I was like, okay, there's a few things here and there that I like. I can start to see it a little bit, but I'm still not that convinced. Third game, start to see it a little more, and I don't know. He does things in a almost subtle way, I guess. It's kind of easy to overlook at first. I think part of it is his ice time. As far as I could tell, he's getting third line, second power play time with his team. At least he was in the playoffs, which is all the games I watched him were in the playoffs. So maybe that's another thing that's a little bit different. But it is the MHL, so you want to make sure that you're watching games where the player you're watching is playing against an opponent that is an actual good hockey team, because the MHL has pretty big discrepancy from the top of standings to the bottom of standings. But that's a little beside the point. Anyways, Trikozov is really good in transition, and he's really good in the offensive zone. He is a good puck carrier. He's strong on the puck. And when he's in the offensive zone, you kind of want the puck on his stick. He's not necessarily the best player. I mean, he is the best player, let's be honest. But even if he's not the best player on the ice at the time, he makes his line mates better. He's really good at just maintaining possession, finding good passing lanes, and creating high danger scoring chances. And he does this at a rate higher than almost any other player in the draft. Now you have to take into consideration league factors. So the MHL is not the same as the CHL, it's not the same as the USHL, it's not the same as the SHL, etc. But I think he was scoring around 4 points per 60 minutes, which is good. Now, all of that being said, there are two reasons why I think Trikozov is not going to get drafted as high as he should. The first is he's Russian. So there's been a long history of Russian players getting drafted later than they should because they're Russian, and a lot of Russian players stick around in the KHL for a while. So the most famous example of that would be Gleb Trikozov, right? He was a 5th round draft pick back in like 2016, I think. Didn't come over until he was 25, I believe. And then look at him now. He's got a 100-point season in his second year in the league. Crazy stuff. No way he should have been a 5th round draft pick. But that's the kind of thing that happens with Russian players because teams don't want to waste, the first 5, 6, 7 years that they have of a guy with him being in the KHL. Also, to further complicate things, there is, current geopolitical conditions which may scare off GMs from drafting Russian players even further. And just today, in fact, I believe the CHL announced that Russian and Belarusian players are going to be banned from this year's import draft for the CHL. So Russia might respond to that. They might be like, okay, well, we're not sending players to X, Y, and Z. I don't know. They already were not selecting Russian players for their national team if they were outside of Russia. So, for example, Daniil Gushin, who absolutely deserves to be on the Russian junior team, didn't make it because he's playing in the CHL. So, those things are things that GMs take into consideration. Whether you like it or not, that's unfortunately just the world we live in. The second thing that is going to prevent him from getting drafted as high as he should is his defense. Obviously, like NHL GMs, head coaches especially, don't like players that don't play defense. If you think back to that one game, it might have been a playoff game, I don't remember, but it was Patrick Laine, right? He had that famous shift where he was just on the ice for like 30 seconds and he just sort of skated around, didn't do anything at all, went back to the bench and got benched for the rest of the game by John Tortorella. That is kind of the player that Trikozov is right now. Not saying he will be like that if he makes the NHL, but he could be. and there's a lot of work that needs to be done defensively. So GMs are not going to draft him as high as his talent would suggest he should be. That being said, this is the first player where I really have no idea where they're going to go in the draft. I would draft him top 10. Like if he's available for the Sharks again at 9 or 10 or wherever they're at now, like take him. Could be the steal of the draft anywhere he goes, really, to be honest. But I don't think that's going to happen. He could go as a late first rounder, but I don't know. Honestly, I think the Russian factor comes into a lot here because there's so much uncertainty. Like, I could legitimately see him going as late as like the third or fourth round, kind of like Kaprizov did a couple years ago or several years ago. I think Trikozov might be a better or a more tantalizing prospect at this point than Kaprizov was, but I don't know. There's so much uncertainty around Russian players. He could legitimately go as late as like the third or fourth round. Regardless of where he goes, though, that is the end of this video. So if you did like it, please do give it a like, consider subscribing, leaving a comment. Those things all really help me out. And until next time, I will see you later.